Good late night from the west coast of North America, Canada, and the United States. It's Pleiadian Late Night Talk with your hosts, Rocken, Locken, and Ravishing Raquel Toombs. And tonight we've got kind of an interesting subject we're going to talk about. Loving energy you receive from other starseeds that you interact with and how those energies can be mistaken for romantic love at times. Raquel, how is it going up there in the Great White North?
Really good. It's cold. I'm in my igloo with the fire going, so got a bit of a cough tonight. So excuse me if I'm kind of hoarse, but yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you.
Well, thank you. And yes, Raquel's got a little bit of a cough. She's a little under the weather, so if she coughs up a lung tonight, it's all just part of the ambience. But you know, we were talking about this issue earlier, you know, and it really struck me because it's something that I was talking with somebody about the other night. And it just seems like maybe it's like, you know, when people are just getting awakened or they think they find somebody from their soul group or whatever, sometimes they mistake these energies for romantic love, and then instead of wanting to be your friend, it seems like they mistake that for a little bit more. And I can see where it's easy to do, you know, it's especially in this Facebook game of all of us starseeds hooking up with each other and reconnecting, you know.
Well, yeah, I think that a lot of people, you know, for so long, it was easy for us to love others, and that's what this process is all about. It's about really loving ourselves. I know for me, I looked everywhere for love, you know, outside of myself. I was in abusive relationships. I was in some really screwed up situations because, you know, I didn't know that I was love. I didn't love myself. I didn't know how to. And so, yeah, it put me, you know, it kept me in a lot of situations that I probably shouldn't have been in, but I'm glad that I had them, obviously, to get to this stage. But I think that because we are love, and when we remember that we are love, you know, we generally, we are love, so we love everybody. And I think that the people that haven't quite gotten that yet, people that are still, you know, searching for, like, we don't need anyone to make us complete. And the key word being need. You know, I've talked to a couple people, and this one guy actually said to me something about, you know, needing something. I said, I don't need a relationship. I don't need. And he's like, oh my God, like, that's sad. And I'm like, well, no, that's not sad. Once you don't have a need to be with someone so that person can complete you, then you're free to just, you know, you love yourself, you complete yourself, you're a whole person, you're whole. And then after that, any relationship is bound to be an amazing, healthy, and beautiful experience because it's not out of need. It's because you meet someone and then you'll generally want to be with them. But until that point, I mean, I'm at that point now. A lot of people aren't at this point. So I think there's a lot of people out there that are still looking, and they have that idea, okay, my other half is out there, my twin flame, whatever. I don't know if I believe in the whole twin flame thing, but I just, a lot of people are looking outside themselves because they don't feel complete, you know, inside yet. They don't realize that they are loved. So when they meet someone that is love and just generally loves everybody, sometimes all you have to, you know, like I might say something like, you know, much love to you or whatever, or just, you know, or even some people, this is okay, I don't want to be mean, but some people, you'll like their, you know, a post of theirs, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, she's my girlfriend, or, you know, I saw a post on Facebook like that before, it was funny. But people just, I think, read into it too much because we are love. They're, you know, they want that for themselves. And so I don't like to, I've gotten a lot of messages from people, from men and women, you know, they kind of inappropriate and say, but I don't like to shoot anyone down or hurt anyone. So I'm very cordial and very, you know, polite to them. But, and, you know, it takes a lot. I've had to block some people. It takes a lot for me to do that because I do realize that it's a process. And, you know, until we know that, you know, we're complete, you know, within, and we don't need anyone, I think that there's people that are still going to gravitate, you know, to us, that the ones that do know we are love, they're just going to gravitate to us because they want that, right? They see that in us and they want that for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But until they get to a point where they don't need anyone in their life, they're going to keep, you know, reading too much into it or thinking that they want to be with a specific person or need to be with a specific person.
Yeah, you're right, and it seems like it draws them to people that are at that point where you're talking about, like where they're at that level already, where they realize that, right? Like you said, and these people have a tendency to gravitate like that. I know I've had some situations like that before myself, and it's like, how do you don't want to stop being nice, and like you said, it takes a lot to get, well, me too, to block somebody,
Hmm.
but at the same time, I think at some point you got to just learn to let it lie and ignore it and not indulge that. I know my problem has been like I'll do the hearts and do a bunch of likes and keep commenting on a post, and sometimes that can be mistaken for that, or people just message you out of the blue and want to talk to you and tell you you're great and all that, and if you engage back too much or even a little sometimes, they'll get that impression that maybe you want to be their so-called twin flame or their forevermore or whatever, and then you get in a position where it's almost like, what do? Are you going to be the bad guy and tell that person, hey, enough is enough? I think really at that point, like you said, all you can do is, well, even before blocking somebody, but just don't respond back to their messages, or just do it very sparsely, or don't tone down as much as you may comment on one of their posts or things like that. And then I see sometimes where, like, if you do that too much, have you ever noticed this, Raquel, where maybe you'll do that, comment on their post, give them some hearts? Have you ever noticed people that it's like they'll start posting stuff to get your attention and then tagging you
Yes.
in posts?
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so then that happens, and it's like, I just want people to understand there it's not a good or a bad thing, because I was at that incomplete point in my life too, where it's just natural to gravitate towards somebody like that, and and we all appreciate the love because we're pure love, but yeah, at the same time, it's kind of a quandary. It's like, how do you find that balance?
Well, I think, well, you tread carefully, for sure, because, I think that, I keep saying, I hate that. I got to stop that, eh? It's, yeah, you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I think often, it just, ignoring someone, or nobody can really, like, I feel for everybody because I was there, and I can see it from all points of view, so I understand. And I know that there's certain people that I can talk to, like, there's you, as far as men go, there's you, Simon Mark Sadler, Robert Vargas, a few people like that I talk to, and I just, like, I feel like I've known you guys forever. So I know it's okay for me to say, I wish we were closer and we could chill, like Halleck to Horace and stuff. Like, I just want to hug him. Like, I just want to hug you guys. I just love you guys so much. And I'm like that with quite a few people, because I feel like, I do know them and I've known them before, but then there's other people that are not quite at that same level. So you have to be really careful about what you say, because if you say, geez, too bad we didn't live closer so we could hang out, someone might take that as, or I wish I could hug you. Someone might take that wrong, but me and you and people like that, like, we're all kind of on the same level. So we know that, we can talk to each other and say these things to each other because we love each other. And it's an understanding that it's not a romantic type of love, right? It's, but you just got to be really careful about, what you say to people, and because you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings either. And it's like when you first, when you kind of first awaken, and you're searching. So many people, like, are still, they still haven't quite gotten the whole, loving them, falling in love with themselves. So they're still searching outside of themselves, not just for love, but for everything else, right? So they're vulnerable. They're really vulnerable. And I think that, if to just go ahead and block someone, or be rude to them, or be mean to them, or whatever, just, I think that would, really hurt them. And you don't want to, like, being in that vulnerable, just awakening state, you want to be very mindful of, of being gentle with people, being honest. Because, I mean, I'm straight, right, honest. Like, I've had a few people say to me, "Are you my twin flame?" And I've just said, no, I'm not. You just got to be honest, because that's a big part of it too, is, once you once you awaken and once you get to a certain level, it's all about honesty. There's no shame, there's no embarrassment, there's no lying, there's no deceiving. It is what it is. It's love, it's being honest, it's being open. So that's really the best thing to do instead of skirting around the issue or blocking someone or ignoring them, is just to be honest with them and just say, hey, like this is what it is, right? I don't know. Yeah, just be just be honest, because you don't want to crush anyone. People are vulnerable right now.
No, exactly. And you brought up a good point, mentioning the people that you did, and some of our other friends out there on Facebook. You can really just tell the difference between people, and it's not a good or a bad thing, but that are at that level where you can talk to like that, right? And that it's just a pure truth, consciousness, just a pure love thing. And I agree with you. It would be nicer if we didn't live closer together so we could all chill. Hopefully interdimensional travel is in our future. I'm got my fingers crossed, but I'm not going to hold my breath anytime in the next year or two. But I agree with you totally, and that's a good articulation of how you put that. And you don't want to break their heart or hurt their feelings. So yeah, I'm not saying block them either. I mean, I wouldn't block somebody, like I said, unless they were nasty and just kept going at it. It would take something like that, and I've probably only done that 10 or 15 times with people, but not for any reasons like what we're talking about. It's just that you got to tread lightly, and I mentioned just ignore them at some point, but yeah, you can't really do that either. Maybe you got to really tread lightly, and maybe once in a while give it a like or answer their messages and talk to them, and and hopefully you don't hurt their spiritual growth either, and they don't get in the way of yours as well, because it's one thing to be sympathetic, but or empathetic, but sympathy kind of drives you down, whereas you can have empathy for these people and be there for them, or anybody that has a question or concern like that. We've all been at these various levels in our growth at some point. So yeah, I just think that it's very important to tread lightly and don't take it for granted, and be mindful too of the mood that you're in when you're talking, whether it's you're in one of them bad moods that day, or if you're feeling overly nice and just want to be everybody's friend, and you just got to be careful, and then in the moment when talking to people that you don't give them any wrong impression or give them the false impression that maybe I mean, it's a mistake I've made before, I know, and it wasn't anything out of ill intent. It was just that I was caught up in the moment and felt good about it, and I was mistaking that soul kind of sister connection or whatever for maybe something more, or maybe that there was something work to undo that. So it's just being very, very careful and limiting the interaction to where it's at a comfortable level for you, at the same time not hurting their feelings, and it's just, I don't know, I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way or anything, but it's just something to be mindful of in every now moment that you're in when dealing with these people. These people, like I say, these people like us, like anybody. Yeah. These people, like I'm not labeling, I'm just saying that anybody that might anybody that you might come across, whether it's in real life, Facebook, Twitter, the astral plane, who the hell knows, anywhere in the cosmos. I mean, you just need to be careful.
Well, there I go again, there's a lot of,
get it right.
Take off, Hoser. Shut up, I'm talking.
All right. Talking,
yeah, okay, there's a lot of people now, a lot of us that we seem to communicate on a telepathic level. We'll be commenting at the exact same time, or someone will post somewhere and I'll just be thinking that, or you'll just be about to message me and I'll just be about to message you, and there's a lot of people that are communicating like that now. And I know that with me, and I'm sure that it's the same with a lot of us, that we don't spend time in Facebook chats as far as Messenger or whatever, or idly chatting back and forth. I just feel that we're kind of at a level now where we're all doing our own things, and we're working together, but at the same time, we kind of keep in contact through, through posts and through comments, and every once in a while we'll a quick message. But I don't know, is it like that for you too? I know with me, and a lot of people I know. Yeah, I mean, I think because a lot of it has to do with what we are, because we are so connected, we feel each other, right? And also, what we're going through and what we're experiencing, it's just way too huge to sit there and just idly chat back and forth. It really is. It just, I don't know. I never spend time in chat with anyone. I never just sit there and chat with anyone. So I've gotten messages from people that'll be, they'll message me and I'll just say, okay, well, thank you very much. Have an awesome day, because I don't chat. And they don't quite get that. And so they'll message me again, is there something wrong? And they'll message me again, hello, and then hi, with like a million eyes after, like yelling at me. And it's kind of like, okay, I'm being honest here. I don't chat. I don't spend time in chat, right? I don't. And so it's not like I'm being rude or antisocial or whatever. It's just, that's just not something I do. Every once in a while with people that I'm, it's always very quick. It's always very quick and to the point. Yeah, I think that's, a lot of us are like that. We just don't spend time idly chatting, because really it's, we're surpassing that now,
Yeah, exactly. It starts with a thought, with a notion, with a synchronicity, a few weeks apart, then a couple days apart, and then we've got a synchronicity, like you said, same time, about to message each other, just or thinking about the same thing. And I get those messages. Hi, thank you, that was a great show. Hi, I like you. Hi, comment back. JK, LOL. Why aren't you messaging me? All that good stuff. I'm outside your house now stalking you. No, I'm just kidding about that part of it. But yeah, it's just because when I get on there, I use Facebook kind of as a medium tool. I just use it for my N5D stuff, for marketing that, and of course for Pleiadian Express Productions and the Pleiadian groups and the shows like this one and whatnot that we do. And I'm trying to kind of network everybody. And I think, like you're talking about, we're on this cosmic network kind of a telepathic thing we got going on, doing our own thing. It's like people, like you said, don't spend a lot of time chatting to people, and that's cool. It's not a bad thing at all. It's not that you're trying to just avoid anybody, but you're doing your thing, and we don't really have to talk that much anymore. We can just we're all doing our thing, and then when we do talk, it's like no time's passed. It's like, okay, whatever, message, hey this, hey that, and that's about it, because we're all working together, doing our own thing. And just evolving this evolving this thing, evolving humanity, doing our own part in this so-called awakening. And I hate to use labels again, but I think you hit it right on the head there. And I've certainly been feeling that lately. And some people that may not get it yet might be like, "Oh, this person doesn't respond back to me that much. This person doesn't participate in a chat. This person doesn't do that." Well, we show our support in other ways. I do what I do on Facebook a lot is I poke about 300 or 400 people and poke back. That's a real quick thing to do with people. That right there shows something like that, shows your support. And even like on a post now and then, for people that that or whatever that we're just trying to convey that we love them or whatever, because we love everybody, but we're trying to still do our thing and get this thing going, and it's really a great unspoken thing that we have. It's just pure telepathic, and it's really another step, in my opinion, toward bridging telepathy with each other. And I think other people will come on board slowly to this, obviously, or they wouldn't be in these groups. They're here for a reason. Yeah. And so, I just want everybody to be mindful of that too, especially as they're going through their evolution and their awakening, that remember the steps that you were at before, and keep that in mind when you're dealing with people. But it's not that we're trying to be rude, because I'm sure Raquel and I both get endless messages every day, okay, but we're on there doing our things, and we may not have time to check them all. I don't really, even except for a couple people, and usually that it's related to what I'm doing on there. I don't have time to go through messages. I get put in message groups. Oh. God. Don't you love them? Yeah. I mean, a few of them that I've created that are forbidden. I have a couple, which of course you're into, but that are for what I call business purposes, not business, but what we're doing here, like the regional admin chats, the Pleiadian admin secret chat. But you get put in these groups. You know what I mean? Have you ever been put in these different titled funky groups, and you get constant messages, and it's like I don't even want to take the time to go in there and turn the message off, and I don't want to be rude and leave it. So it's just like one of them things that pops up. But I would love to have the time to be able to spend some time with these people and do that. Here I go again with that label, But it's just how it is out there, and I hope that this resonates with some people what we're talking about, because I think it's really an important thing. And those energies, back to the topic again, those energies really can get misconstrued, or it's just very intricate, because really we're all trying to vibe on the same frequency.
But you know what, Larry?
Oh, don't tell me what.
That's what chicken butt. No, oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, ascension. I mean, it's a solitary process. It is a solitary process. It's something that it's the worst time to be looking outside yourself or getting into a new relationship, or I mean, everything is changing. Everything about you. Everything, absolutely everything. So, I couldn't imagine. Like, I've been single for, oh my God, I don't know, 10, 12 years maybe, or something like that. And it was, I was really fucked up for a long time. So, but now it's like, I couldn't imagine being in a relationship, because evolving, especially going through the physical too, and well, the emotional and stuff, I've gotten rid of all the crappy emotions, and I've gone through all the emotional stuff. So, I get emotional every once in a while, but I've worked through most of that. But as far as the physical and stuff goes, I mean, I'm a freak. I mean, but plus, I just can't see myself being with anyone. And I know that I think for me, if I was to meet someone, it's not even really an if or even a desire or a want to right now, because I really have to focus on myself. I can't, this is full time. This is full-time me. Thank God that I'm not working full-time right now, because this is full-time work to evolve. And we're ascending, but we're ascending in the physical, which means human beings are evolving, right? Physically as well. It's the next step of evolution, and it's hard work. And I couldn't imagine being in a relationship right now, because that would just be energy that I'd have to expend outside of myself, and it wouldn't be fair to someone right now. And I find that a lot of people now that are, going through this, awakening them, they're leaving, they're either stuck in a relationship because they can't leave, or they've left relationships. Everything old has to fall apart so the new can be rebuilt. And it takes a hell of a lot to totally, fall apart and then rebuild. That's a solitary thing. You got to do that yourself. So, to awaken and then to realize that you are love. And I know it's like you're so loving, and you just want to hug and cuddle everybody, and everything's beautiful, and it's like 5D, like woohoo, your heart's open. But at the same time, you got to focus on you. I just think that it's really not a good time to start a new relationship. You start the relationship with yourself, fall in love with yourself, see what happens after that.
That's a good point, and you see a lot of people that are still looking for that kind of thing, and it seems like, yeah, you're right. A lot of us in this process have either left shitty relationships, or we were in them in 3D for a long time, and then we're kind of out of them now, or we're, like you said, stuck in one big time. You hear a lot about that, and isn't it funny how most of the people who say that too, it's the same thing. The people they're with, or like I mentioned before, people that are out of relationships, the people that they were with were totally not vibing on their wavelength at all. Totally not at all. Totally like not even going through the awakening process. So you got a lot of people leaving a lot of people, or having just left a relationship, or gotten dumped from a relationship because they were awakening.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I think that it's the worst. Probably the worst feeling is when your heart your mind totally contradicts your heart. Your heart and your mind are not in harmony. I know that there's people right now that are in relationships, and their heart is not in it. They don't, their heart is not connected to, they don't love that person, but they're in that relationship because, they feel they need to be, either, for their children, or for their, for their family, or for financial reasons, or, for every other reason except the fact that they're, one with that person, right? That they love that person. And that's I know I've been in situations like that before, in my life before, whoever I was before, I really don't remember, but I know that I was in relationships like that, and I've seen people, I know people that are still now, and it's a terrible, terrible thing, because these are the people that go out and cheat, and they go out and hire prostitutes, and they go out and, they're destroying the other person, and they're destroying themselves, but yet they're not, because they're not following their heart, right? And I think that's hell. That's a hell to be in. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree, and I was just sitting here thinking while you were saying that, it is a total hell, whether it's because they're stuck there, they've got kids that aren't grown yet, they don't want to leave because of the kids, they can't for financial reasons. I mean, they're really stuck, and usually, too, it's a combination of all those things mixed in together, and this is kind of, it goes back to like us evolving again. We're kind of evolving where we want to get to a situation in society, right, where those things wouldn't have to be a hang-up from moving on from a relationship, the whole financial bullshit thing, the whole the kids guilt thing, guilty because you stay together for the kids. I mean, hopefully our consciousness is rising in the next phase, is rising above that, and plus the system under which we create to live in as a collective will not make us bound by something like just solely something financial.
No.
It won't make us bound into those relationships, but as we're transforming and these people are transforming with us, it's a process, and it's like everybody's got to do this on their own solitary for a while. You're right, till we come back as a collective and just bring these energies back to each other, but everybody's got to be on the same kind of a frequency wavelength, and just everybody's got their own path to take, and it's sometimes it's harder when you think you might be a little more awakened than somebody else, and you don't want to hurt their feelings, and you got to figure out, well, what's my responsibility in helping them out. And people do lose their own identity after they've had a relationship with people like that sometimes, or even in them. They get scared of facing themselves and be on their own, and that's that initial thing right there. And then once they get past that phase, then it's the solitude, and it's the adjusting to that, which is a pain in the ass. But then, like you said, once you get adjusted to it after a while, you get to a point where it's not even an interest to you unless you find that one person. You know what I mean? And then it's something like that just is going to happen. It's not, but until that happens and it, once the best thing to do really is to be on your own and do your own thing, chill with your friends, be on an equal wavelength with everybody. But you can't, you just can't force anything like that, and look for something without, like you said. I mean, you cannot, at this moment in time, we cannot keep on with looking without for things. We've got to go within totally, and that's not just a catchphrase. That means whatever you feel that you've got to do, solitude, whatever it is. You've really, really got to go within and do it by, this and this, whatever, soul searching you've got to do, the way you've got to do it. It's something everybody's got to figure out. People are out there can give you all the advice you want. I mean, I could tell you any motherfucking thing you want to hear, but you've got to really, you got to take a look at yourself and, say, self, I'm going to go in, I guess.
Well, I know too that I know too that sorry, I'm just painting my nails. That we're far past settling now. That was the old us's, the old us's, like Bill and Ted, the old us's, the other us's, used to settle and just meet people, or just date, or go to movies, or go to bars. I mean, that's all changed. That's totally changed. I mean, like I said, I've been single for over a decade, and I don't like sex and dating and intimacy with people. That's something I don't do. I used to be really promiscuous back when in my old life, um, but now it's just no. I'm waiting. I'm not wait. You know, I'm living my life, but I mean, I'm not concerned about you know, sex or about a relationship or about dating, or that's just not you know, whatever. If someone comes, you know, if the right man comes along and it happens, beautiful. I'm open to that. You know, and I just I know that when the time is right, then sure, I'm sure it'll happen. But in the meantime, yeah, I think that, you know, especially being open and loving as we are, and also, you know, our energy and our vibrations, we have to be very careful. You know, I'm not saying, you know, God, don't, you know, abstain from sex because it's bad, you know, whatever, right? I'm just saying that we have to be really careful about who we, you know, share our energy with, who we choose to, you know, fool around with. I think that a lot of, well, I can speak for me, but I think that a lot of us too are just not into the dating thing or the one night stand things or the, you know, the bullshit that we used to be into. Or at least I know I'm not. Like I'm over that. I'm so over that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that you articulated a way that a lot of us are feeling we can't quite put into words. And by the way, there was a little squelch coming back on your end a little bit. I don't know if that was you painting your nails or if it was what, but you're right. People, they're tired of they just don't do that anymore. The bars, the one night stands. And I think too, when it comes to sex, like you said, I think we've evolved to a point now too, right, where it's not something that we're going to be willing and want to have unless, you know, like you said, unless it was that situation like for you, right, where that right man did come along, and that'd be great. And but really, like, only in that situation do we feel like really entertaining that idea, you know, because the one night stand is what I mean. We're so into the emotional part of it now, and just they're just you know, it's mental for us, and it's not about that. I mean, we could, you know, and I'll put it bluntly because we're not censored out here by the FCC. I mean, we could get our, you know, if that's all we want is just to get off. I mean, we can get ourselves off in our own way. Who knows themselves better than themselves? And you know what I mean? And because that's the same kind of thing that we look at it as doing now. If we went out and had a one night stand, but only with the one night stand, there's all the baggage that could come along with it. There's all those feelings of guilt or those feelings of that awkwardness. And, you know, and the urge to have just that primal sex like that without any emotion is pretty much long gone. At least, you know, I know, and, you know, it sounds like from what you're saying, and definitely, you know, in my case, and I know a lot of people feel the same way about it, you know, and you got to really be careful, like you said, about who you give your energies to. That's a great point. And even Barbara Marciniak, of course, to bring up Bringers of the Dawn, like we did last show, she mentions that specifically in that book. You really need to be careful because when you share your energies like that in a physical way, you're getting their energies too. And even Barbara went on to say that you're also picking up on energies sometimes of people that they've slept with in the past or that they've recently been sleeping with. So, you know, your energies need to be clear. And, you know, after that point, and when you're when the time is right, the time is right. So, so they taught me when they taught me the birds and bees in school. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like that, and you know, I think that's a great point. Is that just, you know, it'll happen when it happens for you, and until then, you know, it's just not something that's, you know, it's just not really something that's in your realm to even think about, or the bar scene, or whatever. And I think people are moving away from that in society too, because there's just, you know, well, everybody's broke now for one, and it's just people aren't really into going out like they used to. Everybody's got everything they need at home, whether even it's just the internet. It isn't like back in the day where one family had a VCR. You know, when we were growing up, and people would do people do neighborhood barbecues together. Everybody would go over at one house, and maybe if one person had a VCR, they'd all watch movies, because it was new, or play on the Atari, whatever. But then it evolved to a point, right, where then everybody had one of those. And then the internet came along, and everybody had that. And it's not, and then you get people, naysayers, that'll be like from other generations, oh, people aren't as social anymore. But no, it's not like that. It's changing. It's a good thing. It's just an evolution in our consciousness, in the way that we conduct ourselves in society, and the way that we go about living. And I think that really, you know, it might have seemed kind of funky to me growing up a little, but now I feel like it's a good thing. I mean, everybody's doing their own thing, right, but yet kind of moving together on a telepathic collective level, and it doesn't mean they have to be with each other or hanging out all the time in physical 3D, which that's nice sometimes, but especially with cool people like you and the people you mentioned and some of our other friends on Facebook. But, you know, I think you're right. We're just all moving in the own direction with these energies, and it's all starting to come from within. We're all doing our little part in our own solitude space, but yet coming together, if that makes sense.
Well, you know, I see, I have a very, very clear vision of within the next 10 years, there's going to be small communities, well, all over the place of several of us that we're, you know, that we're going to go to like a communal living type thing. Definitely not like you know, what are those things, like a cult or whatever, but no, I've seen stretches of land where, you know, we all build our own, help together to build our own houses, and we all plant our own food, and you know, it's I've had many at the beginning of my process. I had many visions when I was in my cocoon and when I was, you know, lying here dying and being reborn. I was up in the air, and I saw so many things, and that's one of the things I saw was these beautiful communities sprouting up all over the place. So I really feel strongly that sometime within the next 10 years, that's where a lot of us are going to be. And I think it's probably a really good thing that a lot of us Starseeds aren't in the same places right now, physically, because of all the love, and because of, you know, I think, I don't know, I think it could be like another 60s free love type of thing. So I think that there's definitely a reason why that's not, you know, why a lot of us aren't all together in one place. But I think definitely within the next 10 years, a lot of us are going to be, and I'm pretty excited about that. It was a beautiful thing to see, and I know I'll see it in the, you know, in the physical. It was
yeah. People are manifesting it now. You know, you're not the only one to mention this. Julian Wells, a Pleiadian contactee that I've had a chance to interview before, he has mentioned this before on, you know, a broadcast he had done before that. And Jason Wilson and I have talked about this. I've talked about this with, you know, with other people on Facebook, and this kind of thing is really going to start manifesting. But the difference is it won't be like your cult type of thing. It'll be a collective where everybody truly has their own space, but they want the same thing, and it's for the good of the whole collective. Kind of a, I hate to use the word, you know, it's not a commune, spiritual communities, basically, not a commune, spiritual communities springing up, like you said, where people go and they want to be there and do their thing, and there's none of this head game of one person's the leader and, oh, you know, this is the person that everybody looks to. Everybody's going to be a teacher and a student. Everybody's going to have their own place and time and role where everybody follows everybody's lead for whatever strengths that they have, and everybody contributes that, but yet on their own, but together. And I think that's a great vision that you have, and I think that you will start to see that more and more, and even that those communities developing their own source of energy. And that's kind of how I think society is going to evolve and kind of start slowly also walking away from this kind of a system that we're in around the world, these big banks controlling everything. And, well, you know, we don't have to get into that, but, you know, the Illuminati, the Cabal, NWO, whatever you want to call it, I think it's going to change more so. Yeah, exactly. They're crumbling. We're the wave of the future, and they don't like, as Alex Jones says, the wave of the future. They're crumbling, right? And we're kind of evolving past that. We're kind of doing this revolution from within, instead of like a bloody, you know, takeover of a government or whatnot. You know, I mean, those days are gone. Rioting, protesting in the streets, it had its place maybe, but just talking about it too raises the consciousness more than getting out there with a sign and meeting violence with violence. Although, you know, there's been times when maybe that was necessary, but we're kind of we're beyond that. We're beyond that. In fact, you know, there's already a project happening in Denmark like that where they're building the community. You know, it may take a couple of years, but, you know, probably by the end of the decade or so it'll be done. And these things, and they probably have them out there that we just don't know yet, I know. But you're right. I think you're going to see like a big abundance of them, like that vision you had. And I think it's going to be a really wonderful, great thing. And I feel so enthusiastic about it too, because it'll be around people that you can vibe with, and that, you know, like what you're talking about, people that, you know, shit, just live and let live. You know what I mean? No judgment. everybody knows everything about everybody, but there's no judgment. So it's kind of like, that's kind of like higher 40 5D living, man. Reactive instead of, or responsive instead of reactive. People would be more reactive instead of, or responsive instead of reactive, like a 3D society is. Like, oh my God, this happened. You know, instead of that way, we'll be like, okay, well, what can we do to solve the problem? Our brother's helper, not our brother's keeper, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Eh?
For shizzle and nizzle. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, for shizzle is. I think we covered quite a bit. I think that, you know, we don't really need to go for a long run. Do you have any other thoughts on that, though? I mean, you know what? Before we go ahead and give our parting adieu to the PEP Nation, do you have any other thoughts on?
Well, the other thoughts I have on
your
that
vision?
are,
Yeah, go ahead.
hello. The other thoughts I have on that are the, you know, in the first and second wave of indigos in the 60s or whatever, they had all the right ideas. They had the right ideas. They had the love. They had the peace. They had all the right ideas, but they didn't have the technology. They didn't have the drive. They didn't have the know-how or the stick to it to actually accomplish it. So we're kind of going back to the whole kind of, you know, the peace, the love, and, you know, the hippie kind of thing. But now we've got the technology. We've got, you know, we're putting this. So they started it, and we're putting it all together, and we're going to be the ones that are going to accomplish it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree on that point, and I think so too. And I think what they didn't really have, they didn't have the organization, they didn't have the technology, like you said, to have the organization. And so then the drive dissipated really quick, and they got stuck in the mainstream game, like, you know, and they spoke of the dawning of the age of Aquarius, and I really think they weren't that generation. It's the one that's doing things now. Basically, it's the kids that are in their teens now and younger, and our generation, there's that gap between the hippie generation and between that generation, right? We're helping move that along as well, and that's what we're in right now. This isn't, as I said before, this isn't our grandfather's dirty, filthy, just sexual revolution. This is our humanity's sexual evolution revolution is what we're going through right now, right? Because we've got the consciousness now behind us. We've got the technology to get organized, see, and those are two big tools that they didn't have then. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you totally, and I think that that's the way it was meant to play out, go down. Every single way that I've ever looked at this or thought about the indigo thing and thought about the three-wave souls, you know, you just said it perfectly, and that's kind of how it is. And, you know, I think the writing's been on the wall for some time, and that's where we're at, you know.
Starseeds unite.
Hey.
Whenever I read that, because I'm kind of dyslexic, I see Starseeds untie, and I'm like, untie what? But no, Starseeds unite is going to be awesome. I've seen it, I've felt it, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I'm excited about what's to come.
I like that name, Starseeds unite. Not untie, Starseeds unite. Exactly, Starseeds unite out there. Pleiadian Starseeds, Arcturian, Sirian, Alpha Centaurian,
Reptilian.
Some reptilians that are cool and okay. Yes, yeah. Yes, everybody. Yes. We love our Pleiadian Arcturus reptilian hybrid host, Ravishing Raquel. Yeah, exactly. Everybody in the galaxy, all souls. I mean, really, it's time to unite. Whatever you are, you know, you can put the label away. It's fun to talk about these labels with somebody like, you know, if I'm talking with Raquel, or I'm talking with a lot of our other admins or something, because we know the whole thing behind it. But, you know, try not be mindful of that too, because you'll get people fascinated and caught up in a label. And of course, if that gets them learning, that's fine too. But I just would really encourage everybody not to get hung up on those labels and titles. And Starseeds unite, Indigos unite, all of us unite, and let's let the galaxy unite. What do you think about that, Ravishing Rack?
Get out of the box. Realize that there is no box. No, awesome.
There is no box. Absolutely,
no
there is
box,
no box.
Dude.
Yeah, get out of your box. Yeah, well, great show. Absolutely. Did you have any parting shots that you wanted to give to anybody, or any shout outs, or what? Are you good?
Shout out to everybody that I love, which is absolutely everybody.
Absolutely, and I'd like to give a shout out to everybody I love too. And you know what? I'd like to give a shout out to everybody that I've ever met in my life, and that's including you, Raquel. You're one of them. Out of everybody I've ever met in my life, you are definitely one of them. So I'd like to give a shout out and much love to everybody out there, especially, not especially, but I'm just going to give a shout out to people, the Facebook groups, Pleiadians, Fringe Thinkers, Canadian Pleiadian. I'd like to give a shout out to Judith Saval at Emotional Healing, Jason Wilson, Pleiadian Rising. Of course, I mentioned Raquel's Canadian Pleiadian, Victoria Pleiadian, UK, Kiki's Scandinavian Netherlands group, SIF, Gunnar's Daughters Icelandic Pleiadian, and everybody that's out there, the Reiki, the Twin Flame, the Yin and the Yang, and the Yada and the Nada and the Yada. And Raquel, I think that's a wrap. What do you think? Or hold on, you can find Raquel. Raquel, tell us on Facebook where they can find you again. Can they find you on your timeline?
I don't know. It might be kind of hard to find me there, but I think I might be there. Canadian Pleiadian and the main Pleiadian group. And I'm there both places. Well, I'm in all places all the time because I realized I'm multidimensional. I'm everywhere.
Multidimensional. You're multidimensional, yes. But you're on your timeline even. You could even find Raquel at her timeline, Raquel Toombs at her timeline at Facebook. And you can find Larry Locken on his timeline.
Shut up.
Just don't post a bunch of stuff and clog up our timelines. No, we're just kidding. We love it. We love it, everybody. Anyway, Raquel, thank you. And I think that's for Rocken Larry Locken. I am Rocken Larry Locken, and for my co-host, Ravishing Raquel Toombs, we'll see you next time on the Pleiadian Express, and a big cosmic dating game kiss to everybody out there. Mwah. And that's a wrap. Mwah.